Welcome to Ready to be Romanced. I'm Tori, and today we're discussing Fourth Wing Chapter 27.
27.
Welcome back, Mason. It's like almost weird that we're recording this because it's like I was like, oh, we're not gonna talk till Onyx Storm comes out, and then she threw a fast one.
So excited to be back. It is. It's nice.
Yeah, she like released this chapter with kind of, I don't know, it was like such a surprise to I think a lot of people, but it makes sense once you read it why maybe she released this chapter.
Because I feel like, one, how many hardback editions of this book does she expect us to buy? I just like am curious about that. It's fine. I mean, she does a good job, well, with the other bonus chapters of like putting them on her website and making them publicly available. And you know, these were on the TikTok and they haven't been taken down, so I guess it's fine. But it is kind of funny because it makes me think, how much of this book has she written from Zayden's point of view? Like, I think it maybe already is written and she's just gonna like piecemeal give it to us. What a weird way to do it.
Seriously, a lot of chatter online is like, why doesn't she just release the full book? Because, well, this is like 3 of like 4, I don't know, 40, 60, whatever chapters, but it's very Midnight Sun of her to like do something like this. I feel like this might be a hot take. I kind of like the Zayden POVs better than the Violet ones.
But one of the things I appreciate about the story from Violet's point of view is that the secrets of like things, it's been very like surprise, and sometimes that feels a little cheap. I think we talked about that, Rebecca. It feels like you're cheating a little bit. It's fine. And sometimes, but like I think it is genuinely like very interesting to have the protagonist be someone that isn't the person with all the information, that isn't like the secret spy, like the one that's going to save us all. So I have kind of appreciated that part of it, but it does feel cool to read from Zayden's point of view, and just like even the parts where it's like, oh yeah, he did have all this information beforehand.
Completely agree. Makes sense that she is the protagonist, but I don't know, mate, like her writing voice just seems so like, I don't know. I guess it feels clear for both of them, but I've just really enjoyed these POVs. And Rebecca was in our vicinity recently.
Seeing her signature, because I know someone that was stood in line and got the signature, and so I physically touched the same page that Rebecca Yarros has touched.
That is so crazy. Yeah, I like tried to get tickets when they went on sale, which we think was like on Halloween, or like very close to that, and they sold out within like a minute. Like I didn't know that the girlies had like, until I started trying to get Taylor Swift tickets, I didn't know that you had to have like the Google Chrome extension with the auto refresh, and you have to like literally be like a computer programmer to be able to get any fucking tickets nowadays. So
yeah, it's fine. That friend also went to Taylor Swift, so like there's clearly some secret internet thing that people know how to do that I am not aware of, and that's fine.
We're just not privy. We're not privy to that information. But yeah, she was in Vancouver to see Taylor Swift, and she did a book signing, and stoked for her that you know, she's gearing up for the release of Onyx Storm.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be good. I need to refresh myself.
Okay, so literally, I was like, I don't remember anything that happened.
Yeah,
like I was like, when I was reading this POV, I was like, "What's Montserrat?" I literally was like, "What?"
Well, yeah, this one too. Like all the way back to Fourth Wing, I was like, I don't know, because the dynamics shift so much from Fourth Wing to Onyx Storm. Where I guess we should do a spoiler warning. Like,
yes,
if you listen to this, you probably should have listened to all the other things.
Yes. Yeah. Spoiler warning. We'll talk about the entire Empyrean series.
But yes, it's so funny that with this being the huge shift in Onyx Storm and like the new reality that like the Griffin Riders aren't evil. It was weird going back and reading this chapter from Zayden's point of view, because everyone else is like so. Like Violet's being, and I went back and like skimmed Violet's chapter as well, and just like it's like so certain that they are the evil people, and like this is the thing, and so it just is kind of interesting to go back that far, it's a little disorienting.
No, I know. That is actually crazy because then they like team up with them so heavily in the second book that like it is crazy at how little she knows. At this point, they had only kissed once. That was another thing that I was like, oh my God, we're going back to like, this is like early days, which is wild because it seemed so late in Fourth Wing when this occurred.
Like, look how late that's chapter 27, which, like, this is all no, just, I kind of forgot how slow the slow burn was because it heats up so quick.
So quick.
It heats up so quick. That it kind of surprised me a little bit that we were this far into it because this is like the second kiss that they share, which is
yes,
Xaden being a little like rude and like using it, and I kind of totally forgot about this whole thing. This is the other thing is like their dynamic is so frustrating sometimes because it's like it's like these little fights, and it's like I had clearly just completely forgotten that she was like, "I'll never forgive you for this," and it's like, how many times have we actually said that? Because I kind of forgot about this, and I think you forgive him like almost immediately. So like, are we really? Can we stop with the "I will never forgive you"? Because clearly that's not going to happen.
I know, like the stakes feel so high, and it really does not matter. Like it's so funny. It just gets washed away the next day, which like fucking fair, but like it's so funny.
Yeah.
That is like, I feel like that's a lot with these types of books, like these like romantasy books, like
yeah. It's always like, oh, I can never forgive him, but he's so hot, so I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I will forgive him.
100%. 100%. So this was released September 17th, 2024. So just a few months ago. Yeah, let's dive into like what was actually going on in Fourth Wing at the time in the original text. Violet and the second squad, they're in their last squad battle in the war games. I like also was like, what was that big like challenge that they were in? And then I like was like, oh yeah, the war games. Like, which is
oh yeah, the war games.
War games. Yeah, which was the entire book, but I again just wiped that from memory. And they go to an outpost in Montserrat, which is like this like mountainous region. And that's where Mira, Violet's sister, is stationed. It's when Mira gives Violet the Book of Fables that her dad had given her as a child. So it's like she's trying to hint to Violet that there's more that meets the eye. And the outpost is attacked by griffins, which is what we obviously get in this chapter from Xaden's POV. Violet doesn't know what happens to Mira because she's forced to leave. But when she gets back to Basgiath, she does get information that Mira is okay. And then it's also the first time, which we'll talk about, that Violet and Xaden can mind speak to one another, which is so fun. I was like, I forgot how much I liked this scene in the original book. And we get some other things, just like Mira finds out she can't stay on top of her dragon, and like just like all like Dane's mad at them still, and
Dane world building of just like, God, he's the fucking worst.
Okay, so this was also really fucking random that I'm doing a Gilmore Girls rewatch right now, and you know that I think Dane is Dean and Jess, I guess, is Xaden, and I'm literally watching I just finished season 2. I just started season 3, which is like where Dean is starting to implode and be like so jealous and smothering and stuff like that, just like Dane, and where Jess is like the bad boy rebel. And yeah, it's fucking wild.
Yeah, that is wild. It just is like, yeah, it makes it, I know it's tropey, and then you see it and you're like, oh yeah, it is. He's wearing a leather jacket, isn't he? Yep, absolutely, he is.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because like, paperback books don't exist in this world, but I do see a little paperback book in the back pocket of Xaden, like, just like walking around.
100%. Even when I picture what Dane looks like, I feel like it's like tall brown hair, like lanky. Again, I don't know if did I make that up, or is that his?
I think he's short. Character? I thought he was not like short, but I don't see it. Like I see and this is a different dynamic than the Dean Jess dynamic. I see Xaden as much taller than Dane
Yeah.
in my brain.
I know. It does give like tall boy, like short king energy.
Kind of a little bit. Like I see him as being like kind of stocky
Yeah.
guy, not like a big athletic Xaden type. Which
Yeah.
there was one line in this bonus chapter that I found to be so hilarious, which is where they're like
Man.
running up the like ladder to climb up like right at the end, and Dane is going, he's like, no, I agree with Xaden, we have to go. And he like goes up the ladder and Violet follows him, and then they get to the top, and then Xaden in his internal monologue is like, is he out of breath right now? How
Oh,
embarrassing.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
That was so
Everything.
funny. So petty and also just so interesting because he is like the squad leader and so like he's not the second in command, but he's trying to have the wing leader position or whatever. And so I was like, that's crazy. And he is, obviously the son of like a general or whatever professor there. So I just thought that he would be like a star pupil.
It's super fair. But it's interesting that because I think that especially with his Xaden also says something about like that are going to just use you as a tool against other riders. It's like he kind of sees him as not a real dragon rider, which I think is kind of an interesting piece. And him just also being like, and he's kind of chubby, like he's not like in shape. And I'm like, that is hilarious. Like that is very funny to me. Yeah, I sit in my chair being like, I couldn't climb a ladder.
No,
Like,
no, literally, I was out of breath reading this chapter, like thinking about them like hiking up a ladder.
yeah, no, thank you.
It's so good. No, I know. I was LOLing at that. This chapter, I was obsessed with this chapter. I feel like we just got so much more information. So let's go through like what happens. We learned that Imogen is like on a mission because she's not at the like debrief or like discussion that they're having about strategy. But when you reread it, and no worries if you didn't, but like she doesn't mention that Imogen is sick, does she? Because that's her like excuse.
Yeah. No, because at the beginning of the chapter 2, the squad is split. Like half of them go for a flight and then half of them do the battle thing. So I thought that she was supposed to be flying, but then so I think from Violet's POV, she was just in the other thing and wasn't a thing. And then from Xaden's, we get the information that like, oh, she said actually that she's sick, so she's not going to go out, but then she's actually going to go out. But she was never supposed to be in the, I don't know.
In the room,
It's
in
not-
the room where it happens.
In the room where it happens. Yeah, it's not the most clear thing that I got.
It's not the most clear thing. And again, not to be shady, because I do really love this series, obviously, but like it seems a little like, again, like we're getting this chapter so far past its pub date that it's like, it's just so interesting, this like new information we get, that like some of it does kind of feel a little bit made up at the end. There, I'll say it. Like, not that we haven't said it like for the last fucking 6 episodes, but
In the Reddit, just kind of like seeing what people are like, this doesn't make sense. And she's like, oh, actually, from Xaden's point of view, it actually does make sense.
no, literally, she's probably like, fuck all of these people. I'm gonna release a new paperback and like
Yeah.
a new edition with like all the information, which like it's like fair enough. And also it's like, I guess there is always gonna be supposed plot holes when we're getting one person's POV, which is like why I'm kind of like, why isn't it like almost like more dual POV? It just makes more sense, but I guess that's the mystery of it all.
I don't know. It would be interesting. It would be interesting to have these books as a dual POV. I feel like that could be kind of cool.
That's what I thought. I know. I'm really enjoying these 3 Xaden chapters, but I could totally see, I don't know if she would have interest in this because she is like, she just published a new book. It's just not in this series. Yeah, I know. It's like Variant, I think it's called, but it's like, yeah, I'm not going to read it, but it's like a contemporary book. But so I don't know if she has interest in continuing this series in terms of like extra content past like the 5 books it's going to be, but I would be so down for like a full Xaden POV book.
Yeah, it does make me a little bit nervous because I even found this with Onyx Storm in comparison to Fourth Wing, that because it's going to be 5 books, we have 3 more books to go, and I'm a bit worried that she's going to change her like formula based on like what people are saying online and what she thinks the expectations are.
I
And
know.
like rereading this, it's like I like what Fourth Wing is and does. I just am. She makes me nervous, but mostly just because like I don't really know if I. This is the tinfoil hat. Like I don't really know if this is like what she wants to be doing. Like it's interesting. It's
It
interesting.
it it's so interesting. I kind of agree that she like maybe kind of fell into this, like because she has written like 20 contemporary romance novels, and then maybe she was just like, oh, like this is like would be like a fun, this is what everyone's doing, or like this is just what the content is, like I'll just, and like she just didn't know that it would be such a success. I don't know, like she does seem to love the characters, but maybe it's just more of a challenging writing process, like doing a series like this, also with like all of us basically pouring over every detail, whereas like a standalone contemporary, you just kind of read it and you just like move on and whatever. But when you're reading fantasy, you expect everything to kind of be really explained and make sense.
Yeah, there's plot elements that have to be, and the world is building that has to be like kind of consistently kept up, which is I'm sure a bit frustrating when you're like, I just want to tell an interesting story. I get that.
100%, totally. And we just have certain expectations because of you know, really popular series that are like really well written. And
well, and also like fantasy fans have not historically been. I mean, it's like one of the worst. Like, actually,
no, literally. Like, I even feel like people do that with Fourth Wing, and I'm just like, what are some fun theories?
I'm
like,
here for a good time.
Yeah, literally. Like, I'm just like, Violet's funny and like spunky, and like Xaden's a babe. Like, that's
all I care about.
Yeah, literally, fucking literally. So we also get Imogen. Like Xaden talks about how she can wipe memories, which is really interesting. It kind of, I feel like that has been like hinted in the last couple books, but we don't really haven't really seen that play out. And while Mira is testing the squad on battle strategy, Xaden is like feeling the bond like kind of like lock in with Violet, which is interesting. I felt like this was also like the best part of this is we can feel or hear him, I guess, talking about how he can feel her emotions. And I was like, that's the intrinsic, like that's his second signet at work, which like obviously we were talking about how in the bonus chapters 9 and 16 basically didn't have this, and then now we get like how it works.
Damn theory, she listens to the pod and she's listening to our feedback.
Yes, you're right. So that's the actual theory. It's not Reddit. It's she's tuning in to Ready to Be Romanced.
I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense. Truly.
Yes.
But yeah, it was funny too because it was like I loved that. It's like, oh, what is that feeling that she has that she's proud of me? And then I was locked in the bond. I was like, wow, that's freaking cute. I like that. That's nice.
No, it was like so cute. I know. He's like, what is that? Pride? And then especially because like I don't think he thinks that people are like proud of him because like he doesn't, his parents are no longer in the picture and like stuff like that. So I thought that was really cute. And then obviously the bond like locks in, and then he's like able to like mind speak to her, which is really shocking. We also learned that basically he just used Sigale and Tarn as an excuse, like that they are bonded, that they needed to be together, when technically he just like wanted to see Violet. Like
absolutely reading him for being like, oh, I wonder how Violet's doing. Oh, I wonder if she's spending time with Dane. He's like, okay, I get it.
It's so funny how she just clocks him so fucking hard here. But also it's like that's what I like still like hate about the dragons like being able to read your every thought, is like that's like crazy. Like I don't think you would want that.
No. No, it sounds terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was really funny how he was talking about how easy it is to lie to them and just be like, well, they're bonded, so like I had to come. And Mira's like, what is gonna happen when you graduate? And Violet is still in school and stuff like that. And he does say a line that was so interesting, which leads into one of our theories, which is a very common theory. But he says lying is easy to other people, except when it comes to Violet. And people have been saying that truth saying or whatever is like maybe her second signet.
It's hard to tell though, because I feel like as from the Xaden point of view, it's always so like he's so infatuated with her. It's hard to like separate that because like he's just like I would die for her, and it's funny because like he's still kind of like negging her at this point in the book too, which is like. Can we just stop? This is so dumb. But I think that it's hard to know if it's something going on outside of that or if it just is his obsession with her that's causing that.
Okay, because I was thinking that too, and I was like, well, yeah, it's easy to lie to other people, but you never want to lie to your like partner or like the person you're in love with. Like I'm like, I think that is the. It could also be that. Like I don't know.
Interesting to see someone like Rhiannon, like one of her like friends, that's like, I just like can't ever lie to you or something like that. I think that would be more believable because like I just like don't really know if it would be necessary to have a signet doing it for Xaden because it's like, yeah, he's not gonna lie. Like it's so hard for him to do so, but then he like does successfully keep things from her for a long time.
I was just gonna
so
say,
it's
but
like,
then he like technically lies to her all the time.
yeah, so it's like it's not really. It more reads to me like just a thing that he says because he's obsessed with her.
Yeah, because he doesn't say he can't. He says it's harder.
Mhm.
But I was like, again, it should be harder to lie to people that you like care about telling the truth and being authentic with. So maybe that means fucking nothing.
Yeah.
So it either means everything or nothing.
You think her second signet is going to be something like that plays with people's minds? Like I think it's going to be weird.
Yeah, both of us.
Right.
That makes sense to me because it seems like one's like a physical thing. Like it's like everyone has like a physical kind of like combat thing. And then I think someone has something that is like kind of like the strategy piece. Like Dane, I don't remember what, because he has the thing where if he touches your face, he can read your thoughts, which is the mind one. But what, I don't know if he has a physical one, but I think
Maurice, if I remember correctly, because if it was thoughts, he'd have to murder him. Again, the rules are very unclear with the murder. It's like, oh wait, you read my thoughts? No, just your memories. Oh, okay, fine.
Oh yeah,
You're fine.
Oh, you're all good.
Actually, this is really great. We're so happy. Thank God it wasn't thoughts. Otherwise, we'd have to murder you.
Yeah, murder you in front of everybody else, like immediately with no second guessing. Yeah, that's so fucking funny. Even though, again, it doesn't seem like Xaden can actually read people's thought. Like it is just the motivations, it seems. But
yeah. So, like, what are the rules?
What are the rules? I think that's the hard part to wrap my head around. Is that if you have these signets that are like Dane's is well written, I think, because it's like he has to really do something physical, like whereas like the ones that are like kind of more broad, just like, oh, I can read people's motivations or whatever, it's like, okay, but then when you're writing his POV or his behaviors, it would always have to be influenced by that, and it's just not. So I think that like if I were to provide one suggestion to Miss Yarros, I would say just like have it a little bit more like have something.
The connection. There has to be like something going on that has to like touch that the other way.
Yeah, like maybe they have to like he has to like touch their skin or like ask a certain way or like something like that to be able to read things or like I don't know, but like it just. Some of it's like his behaviors would always be dictated by that and stuff like that, which I guess like in some cases it is because he's like so smooth and stuff. And why is that? Because but whatever. Dane and Xaden are arguing, and then they're just like asking about how they would, what would they do if they were attacked by Griffin Riders. And Xaden uses his signet to shadow the whole room, which was one of my favorite parts in Fourth Wing. And then Mira pulls Dane, Violet, and Xaden into the hall. And then she's like, why don't you guys just like whip it out and measure it or something like that? At this point, I'm like, this is so funny to me. Like,
one of the other dragon riders, like one of Mira's squad that was at the back, like, do you want to just like whip it out and measure it, boys? Like in front of the whole room, which is very funny.
So fucking funny. So funny. And then Xaden hears from Sigale that Imogen's mission was successful. Also, Xaden fucking hates Mira. What is up with that?
Mira is so similar to their mom. And then I think she also has that. She's clearly the, like, it's not racist, but you know, like the racist against the people with the relics of it. Yeah,
like a prejudice.
Prejudice. Yes.
Yes.
That is the word. Thank you so much. So, like, I think that is also part of what has happened is he can sense that she hates him just because of that relic that he has. And he doesn't trust her because she's just like her mom in his eyes, which I can get.
Yeah. I don't think that's wrong at all. But yeah, it's just the Christmas dinners at the Soaring Gale family. It's gonna be awkward.
It's gonna be awkward. Well, especially now. I mean, like
yeah, like literally. And then what happens but attack, a Griffin Rider attack. Mira is like, get Violet out of here to Xaden. And so Violet is like, no, oh my god, like I can help and stuff like that. Tarn can help. Taryn, whatever the fuck. I between episodes, I literally forget how to. Is it Taryn?
Taryn is what I say, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's Taryn.
And I don't think Rebecca knows, and that's part of the problem. I feel like that's.
No, literally. Zeta's like, get your stuff. We're leaving. When he goes and gets his stuff, Liam asks if it was us. So that's interesting because it seems like he's like not as gung-ho about this movement as maybe Xaden is. And he's like, is it us, meaning like good Griffin Riders? So I'm assuming there's also bad Griffin Riders.
Yeah, maybe not everyone is like on board with working together, which I think that's like where I got that from too. And it does kind of seem like Liam is more like, why are we being so risky? Like, I don't think that this is worth it. Yeah. And Xaden saying like, I would never put civilian in harm's way to do this. Like, I would never attack a thing like this. Yeah, so I think that is an interesting, that like piece of it, I think was the most interesting like plot piece in the whole chapter of like things that we learned, because it also shows that like the entire time these conversations were happening like all around Violet without her even being aware of. It's like Liam and Xaden are two of the people that she spent the most time with. And there's this whole other thing that exists between just Xaden and Liam that like we had no idea about the entire time, and that like there's all these like schemes. I think it's cool because then you go back, like I kind of want to go back and reread Fourth Wing and kind of like look for pieces where maybe that was happening that I wasn't aware of.
I know. It's so true because obviously it's like this is when Violet's packing her bag with the Book of Fables and stuff like that. And also the other part that was interesting to me is like Xaden, they make this trip, which is also purposeful, but then he also wants to see Violet, like, but it is twofold. Like, and I think that kind of plays out because it's like he is always kind of between doing the mission. Like that plays out in IF and then probably the third book, because it's like yeah, he's always caught between like the resistance and like the movement and like what's best for the movement, and then like Violet, which I think was like very clear here.
It's only gonna be worse. It's only gonna be worse for him as things go forward, given where like Iron Flame ended.
Yes. So yeah, they race up the like turret or whatever because they have to like jump on their dragons or whatever. Except for she like won't be able to. So Zayden's talking about how like Taryn is just gonna like have to like pick her up and stuff like that, and that she's gonna get
It's like
pissed.
between Taryn and Zayden, where it's like, look, buddy, I'm gonna have to do something. She's gonna be embarrassed. You're gonna have me out here with this. It's like, oh god, it's
Yeah.
so embarrassing.
So fucking funny. And then she's arguing and she's like, I need to stay, I need to stay. It was very like rom-com movie or whatever, where it's like one of them is arguing or whatever, and what will cut off their arguing? It's that he kisses her.
Wild. I will say, like, the way that he does it, like, he's very much into it. He's like, I have to kiss her, like, it's the last time I'll ever get the chance to kiss her again, which, like, hilarious, buddy. Like, come on. Like,
He is so dramatic. He is so dramatic. She is too. And like all the stakes are super high in like a war college, but like,
yeah,
fuck, it's just so funny. He's just as dramatic as her.
I know, it's so good. And I'm like, that's so. How many times? How many times is it going to be the last time? Like, you'll never be able to move past this. This is the end. Like 2 days later, it's like, oh, never mind, you're too hot.
We're back in class or whatever.
Yeah, that's totally fine. But yeah, so I think it was interesting having his like. It was calculated though, like he did do it on purpose. Because I think, like from Violet's point of view, it's like, did he do that on purpose? It's like, yeah, I need to buy some time. Like Taryn is literally in my brain saying, like, give me some time. I need to like scoop her up, distract her somehow. And he's like, okay, I know one way I can distract her.
Yeah, oh my god, it's so good. Okay, let's wrap up with our roundtable discussion. This is our cursory peruse of the internet of things you need to know. So this is really interesting. This is not about what we just read, basically, but okay.
Oh yes, the French edition thing. I saw something about this on the Reddit.
Yeah, so basically, while I was doing internet research about chapter 27, there isn't actually so much that she said about that. Again, it was just released in like a special edition of the book with like the sprayed edges. It's very beautiful. Mason and I would have got one if we went to the Vancouver signing, but that's neither here nor there. But basically what happened is there's a French edition. The fucking translated books always spoil stuff, which is kind of my favorite thing. But there's a French edition of Onyx Storm that says Violet will be hunting for the 7th species of dragon that Adarna is, which is like the feather tail or whatever. So we're not actually as dumb, I think, as we thought we were. Like, I think, like it's like, that is what's happening. Like, we did kind of get that. And then we were like, is this something that, you know, plays into the whole Venom thing and how to like defeat them, or like they're rising or like whatever. So.
And now I think that like maybe that was specifically hidden from people because they were trying to hide the Venoms. Because like there was a whole thing about like, oh, well, like nobody's seen this type of dragon before. And it's like, oh, maybe it was hidden because the dragons and the humans back in the day decided like, oh, we're going to try to like suppress this information, and so we can't have these dragons that are like specifically built to fight these things that aren't supposed to exist.
Yes, which makes me like the 2 dragon plot a lot better. I'm kind of softening to that because like that was like so crazy in Fourth Wing, but like I'm like, okay, like this is starting to make more sense because that just was kind of like pick me.
Like, what was the thing that he said? Like, oh, I'm Stencil. I'm not like other girls. Like, I'm. Like,
yeah,
absolutely. Like, it was very much that. And I think that, but and now it's like I think one of the things that I'm coming to realize is that none of these like rules are rules. Like, none of these things are real. It's all like the soft stuff that they kind of use to their advantage, which is interesting because it's like, how much of the rules are propaganda that's like been created. And so I think that like we are unpicking that as we go.
Totally. And then the first 3 pages were published in Cosmo UK, which is very interesting. I got a chance to read them. And basically it picks up obviously where Iron Flame ended, where the Venom, a bunch of Venom are attacking the Arisha house,
Yeah.
like Zayden's house, that they are all like the new resistance or whatever
Yeah.
is living. And they're trying to release Jack Barlow from the cell that he's in, which I'm like, why do they care about Jack Barlow? But they do.
I wish this guy would go away. I wish he really died. Like, I don't,
I
why are
wish
we,
he really died.
like, can we not? Can we
I'm
not just
just
have a new villain?
curious about like why him, and maybe he was always, I guess he was always Venom, and maybe that's why he hated Violet so much.
Was he like Venom at the very beginning of Fourth Wing type of thing?
Well, I remember when we talked about, I I think we didn't notice this, but like Reddit did, and then we talked about it where it kind of is described that he has like red rimmed eyes or whatever, which is like a
Oh,
telltale sign. So it
yeah.
seems like this is what I don't get. It's kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer in my eyes, and maybe
Yeah.
again I'm just dumb, but like where it's like Angel and Spike can transform their faces whenever they want,
Yeah.
which it kind of seems like Jack and Zayden, but then other Venom, like other vampires in Buffy, always have the vampire face. So like that is also interesting to me because it seems like Zayden can go in and out of being a Venom, and I guess Jack was too, because he was probably a Venom this whole time, but posing as a human.
Yeah. Weird, because I just don't know if we have a good idea of like what being Venom actually means. Because like I thought it was like something that like you went too far towards taking the magic from the land or whatever, and then it like turned you Venom, and that was like
Yeah. You're
they were
like
like a sorcerer that has like gone past this red line that has turned you into this thing, not like something that you can go back and forth between. But maybe I'm wrong. And maybe that was always a way. Because that's the thing is like we also don't necessarily have. I kind of still think that maybe the Venom art actually they seem pretty evil. But like maybe they're not actually like super duper evil and there's like another thing that's going on here. I don't know.
yeah, like the Griffin Rider thing.
Yeah. Maybe there's good Venom out there that are also there, and then it's just like this like one like evil sect of Venom that's supposed to be like
Yes, causing chaos. So yeah, that's kind of what happens in the first 3 pages. Zayden like helps, like kind of saves Violet. So again, like
classic.
classic. So yeah, I guess he's looking at the motivations of the people, but like it's her POV. So when she sees him, she's not like, oh my God, his eyes are red or something like that. So that's interesting to me. And then this, again, huge spoiler alert, but we talked about this again, how one of the Venom like had silver hair like Violet's. And I think she notes that, but it is extremely explicit in these first 3 pages that they have Violet, or they, at least one of them, have silver hair, if not all of them.
We don't really know where her dad went. I'm just saying we don't know where her dad went. Her
We don't know
brother
what happened with, like, yeah, her
Her brother came
brother.
back from the dead. Lots of people come back from the dead in this book. For a series of books where a lot of people die, a lot of people also don't die.
Also don't die. And it seems like they also don't want to kill her. Like there is a point where like I think one of them has like a dagger up to her throat or whatever, and then like another one's like not that one or whatever. So like
Yeah.
there is her dad, remember we were like, is her dad like the Venom, like
Yeah,
the
maybe.
Venom overlord or something like that? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because it's like, yeah, what is going to be? I mean, again, that's like such or choose me, I'm special. Like, I'm actually like this secret link between humans and Venom, and I'm actually going to solve all the problems.
Classic. And it's always like the 17-year-old girl like can save the world, but like you guys couldn't do it, but like Feyre and Violet and Buffy and stuff like that all
Absolutely.
can.
All can. Absolutely.
Okay, I wonder why these are unanswered questions for the listeners. I think I've talked mostly about these, like, but we were like, is Liam kind of against the uprising? Are there friendly versus unfriendly Griffins? Did Zayden, like, what does he care more about, Violet or like them accomplishing the mission? Why wasn't Imogen mentioned at the table?
I don't know. That wasn't more clear. Like the stuff with Imogen, I don't know why it was more clear. in the
Yeah.
first place, I think that it would make sense. Because I'm just thinking right now too. It's like, isn't Imogen a second year? So like, why would she even be there with the first years in the first place?
Yeah, you're right. She is, because it's a 3-year program, right? So
Maybe I'm
she
just not
is.
remembering how they went back, but like I'm kind of now in my mind remembering. Well, maybe I'm misremembering. But like Zayden came after the first years all went. He like flew in because
Yes.
he was like, I'm sad.
Yes.
I wonder if Imogen came with him. I don't know.
No, okay, because like, yeah, because Dane is older, but he's there because he's the squad leader. Does Imogen have a position?
Oh, maybe it's just their squad. Maybe that's what it is. Like their squad has gone out, but then the wing leader wouldn't normally come.
Yeah,
Right, because Dane is also a second year. Right.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about clearly. But it
No, but
is
it's
it is like a little weird, like what the deal with Imogen is and like why she wasn't at the like in the room with them during this time.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think that
Is Liam also a first year?
yeah, yeah, because Zayden is the oldest of the people, and like he asked Liam to like hang out with Violet because they were in the same year, so they were in all the same stuff.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Unanswered questions we have? Lots of unanswered questions.
Yeah, lots of unanswered questions. Not specifically about this chapter, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
like,
I am interested to see, and I need to go read the first pages of Onyx Storm because I'm curious about what that's going to be like.
please do. Grapes and grumbles. These are nitpicky problems we have with the book.
I just rethinking about my other gripe and rumble of like it's so frustrating to me from Zayden's point of view that he is so into her and they still have this like, oh no, he hates her. Like this whole thing about how like they actually hate each other, but they're both obsessed with each other and they know that they're obsessed. Like they're actually in each other's brains. They know they're obsessed. They know that they just be together. Like this was so I'm glad I don't have to read the whole thing and read the whole slow burn again because I'm like, it feels contrived. It feels like it was completely just to create tension that doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, like I get the enemies part at the beginning, but like that quickly like crumbles, I feel like. And yeah, it is kind of annoying when like people are like basically fated mates and like are like rejecting that or whatever. Like that happens in so many books.
Yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
one of those things where it doesn't read the most. It reads very much because it has to be this way, not because it makes sense with the characters.
Exactly. And then like I'm curious of why these books like aren't dual POV or like I don't know. I'm just curious
You
about
like I
like
like
yeah,
Zayden's voice better. It's interesting because like I think she does a good job of having a different voice with the two different like
she
POVs,
does.
and so I think that I actually kind of like Zayden's voice better. And then I'm like, well, is it just because like I'm a guy and like that makes sense? But I don't know. It just feels like it is more sure and is more fun. I don't know. I find him
I
funnier.
know. I think I was thinking that too because I'm like, do I just like it better because I love like hard exterior but like pining on the inside type of guys? Like, is that why I feel like I like this more? Or it's also just fun to have like such a confident person, whereas like Violet is like she just doesn't know so much that it's hard to be in her POV at some points.
Yeah.
But I just feel like with the success of these chapters that we've read, because we really liked 9 and 16 too, I'm like, just release the content.
Yeah. Release the safety cut. We all want it. We're all asking for it.
We're all asking for it, and like she really is like selling all the variants or like the additions or whatever. Like it's very Taylor Swift of her where she's releasing a fucking new variant of each album. But yeah, so it's like it's just time to just do it all. And but you're right though, she did say eventually she'll put chapter 27 on her website, which I think probably I'm assuming before January. But yeah.
It's been a while. Is reading a book on TikTok.
Yeah, and yes, and I was reading it on like Instagram stories, and then I couldn't find that one again, so I read it on TikTok, and absolutely brutal. But I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying another $30 book. Like, I'm just not.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm so
For
sorry.
one for one chapter.
For one
Again,
chapter.
if it was more or whatever, or if it was one book with even the 3 chapters, and I knew she wasn't coming out with more, I would.
It's to be like 3 more editions of this book.
I know,
At
I
least,
know,
because they're gonna re-release it every time they release another book, right? Like
I
that's
know,
gonna be.
I know, I know, I know, I know, I know.
So maybe I'll just read all of them on TikTok from here on out.
From here on out, I'll be reading it.
Oh, shit over.
No, literally. Okay, and our sequels group, this is the tea on any upcoming sequels, seasons, and the general reception. All I gotta say, because we've talked about this, Onyx Storm coming January 21st. This episode's gonna release right before that. What are you like most excited about?
We left on such a cliffhanger. I feel like I'm just like, what are we gonna do? Zayden becoming Venom is such a huge thing, and I'm just so curious what that means. Because like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like, what do you mean he's a Venom? Like, what does that? Is he like evil now? Like, what does that mean for like his motivation to do things? Like, I don't understand what any of that is implying, and so I'm interested to see what happens with that. And I am hopeful that I don't know. It seems like all 3 of these books, it's like everyone is so different. Like Onyx Storm is gonna have to be completely different because it's not gonna be they're not gonna be at the rebel camp like doing school again, clearly. Like that's not gonna be like they're not gonna be able to like go back to that status quo. And so they're just like a completely new status quo that they have to
That's
establish.
so true, because Bazgaev is like fucking dunzo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, 3 books of just resistance, I think, is going to be so interesting. And then, yeah, like, because we just know it seems like the only way to like reverse the Venom curse or whatever the fuck it is to kill the person. So,
Yeah.
like,
Which is it reversing it, or is it just killing that? It's like, oh, we're not getting anymore. It's like, yeah, because we're not alive. Like,
yeah, and then so it's like, what happened with Jack then? Because it's like if he was Venom and then she like killed him, but don't they have to kill him with like the special dagger or whatever?
yeah, the daggers are the only things that can kill them. Maybe that's why he didn't die. Oh, I see. So maybe that's why he didn't die when Violet killed him, is because he was already Venom, and you have to use the daggers. Which again, if you can make a dagger out of something, you can definitely make a sword out of something. And like, why are we making these dinky little daggers as the only thing that can fight these? Can I get something with a little more reach, please? Like, can we make arrows out of that metal that kills them? Like, why does it have to be daggers?
Seriously, where you're like up close and personal.
It's because Violet uses daggers. That's why. That's the whole reason.
You're right. So she's gonna.
Oh
my god, that's why
it has to be daggers, because she's the one that throws the dagger and has her little dagger belt or whatever. And so,
and that's why she's gonna be good at killing them, and she'll save the world because she's the like dagger expert.
She's just so special. She's so cool.
She's so cool and quirky and fun. That is so funny. Okay, yeah, that's a hot take. And it was Zayden, or a good theory. It was Zayden dropping off daggers.
Yeah. That was what Imogen was doing. Yeah. So like that's kind of the through line. So we'll see. Yeah, so I'm excited to see like what happens with that with the Onyx Storm. I'm very curious. It's funny because like we were joking a little bit about like our relationship will never last, but it like clearly does. It gives like, I don't know if Mom Talk will ever survive. Like, can Mom Talk survive this? Like,
thank you. It is exactly like that. It's so like that.
And Zayden's relationship will last this new thing. I actually hope that they do get some time. But like the Parrot Dragon things is kind of fun, but I do kind of want to get like a whole like period of time where they're separate. I feel like because they literally have not spent more than like a week or so apart from each other, 2 weeks maybe max, the entire time that they've known each other. And maybe they just like don't actually like each other that much, but it's like a proximity thing. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Get some space, you know?
People have literally, I don't think that this is true, but people have literally been like, Zayden's like actually not her like person. He like, there's going to be like another love interest. I don't think that's true, but like, yeah, but that's every fated mates. It's like, do you love the person because you actually love them, or is it because, and like, not that they're like exactly fated mates, but like they are like They literally
Kind of, yeah. They are. I mean, they're like tired, like they're tied together forever, and if one of them dies, it's very
the
much
other
that.
one dies. Yeah, so it is fated mates basically, but it's like, and that I feel like that's the whole not problem, but like concern with fated mates is like, do you like the person actually, or is it just because there's this other force that is putting you together? I think the thing that I'm most excited about is that, and this was like such a almost afterthought in the second book, but Xaden's like a prince or whatever. Like,
Yes, the whole my chair, my woman part of it. Yeah, I get that. Absolutely.
yeah. So I'm just like, I'm so curious about like, is the end game for him to become the ruler of whatever? I need to look at the maps again. And is it the ruler of Navarre as a whole, or is
As
it
a
that
whole.
one state?
No, because he was the ruler of. I'm looking at the map currently.
Oh,
Let's take a look. Yes, is Navarre is the whole thing. Tyrandor is the province that he was the king of.
right. And Aratia is where he, like, the city or whatever. So
Yes, Aratia is like the capital.
yeah.
Yes, of Tyrandor.
Yeah, so he's like the Prince of Tyrandor or whatever. So I'm just like, what does that mean?
What does that
mean Violet will become like the princess or queen or king or whatever?
Ooh. Yeah, there's the other prince. The prince that's the prince of the king that's the king of Navarre that we don't really care about, but he's there.
He's there, and I feel like he was like flirty with Violet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I do not hate that either. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, because he's like against his dad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Could be interesting.
So much to look forward to.
So much to look forward to.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about chapter 27?
Nope, I think that's all I got for one chapter.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope she keeps releasing stuff so I can keep coming on.
No, seriously, I'll hit you up in February.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks for coming on.
No worries.
And that's the story of Fourth Wing bonus chapter 27. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to Mason for joining me on today's show. I really hope you all enjoy Onyx Storm so much. Also, I want to point out that in the episode, we got a little bit confused. We kept on referencing Onyx Storm as Iron Flame, but it's just because I feel like we were talking about Onyx Storm so much and then Fourth Wing so much that we just got a little bit jumbled. But I hope when you're listening to this, you are either getting prepared to read Onyx Storm, clearing your calendars, or you've read it and you're coming back to see if we got any theories right. Share all of your thoughts with me on socials. You can follow me at Ready to Be Romanced. And if you could subscribe and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it would help me so much. In 2025, I really want to get to like 100 reviews. So if you haven't already, now's the time to leave one. If you'd like to suggest a book or leave a voicemail with a question or comment for a future episode, you can do so via the links in the episode show notes. Our next episode is The QB Bad Boy and Me. Until then, happy reading. For Ready to Be Romanced, I'm Tori. Goodbye.